Hey homeschoolers, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody are doing great. And today, in this video, we are going to discuss preparatory paper of 2024 examination of Karnataka board. So here I am dealing with SSLC preparatory 2024 question paper. Okay, so you all can share what is your opinion about the paper, whether it was easy, medium or difficult. Okay, so if you are the one who have finished writing this preparatory examination, just share your opinion. What was the level of the paper? Okay, and right now you can pause the video and comment in the comment section about your opinion. Fine. And coming to the paper, part A is all about physics. We all know, right? So in physics, there are two multiple choice questions, and definitely you should know the concept to understand these multiple choice questions. And let me not just give you the answer for every question. Let us discuss why the answer is there for a particular question. Okay, so that for the final exam, it will be easy for you to recall the concept and to gain that confidence in concept clarity, right? Okay, so coming to question number 1, so they are asking you, hope everybody has a question paper with you. If you are that Karnataka board student, please have a question paper with you, and let's start. The color of the white light spectrum that bends the most is. Okay, so it's the question from Human Eye and Colorful World, and we have studied that whenever you pass a white light through a prism, right? Suppose if this is a prism and I will pass a white light here, and you know that white light will get split into 7 colors. You know, dispersion happens in a prism, and you know, while this ray coming outside, you know, one of the ray bends the most and some ray will bend to a least extent. So here they are asking which is that colored ray bending most. So definitely the ray which bends the most prominently is violet. Okay, so violet bends most, right? So this is the one that bends most, and red color radiation, the red ray bends least. Okay, so because the violet radiation has got a least wavelength, and when something has a least wavelength, it will travel with really high speed. Okay, as a result of this, you know, it will bend to a maximum extent. Okay, so red is the one which has got a longer wavelength in the sense speed is less. Violet color radiation, speed more, so it will bend to a larger extent. Okay, so what is the answer for this question now? The answer for this question is option A. Okay, fine. And question number 2, see, it's a diagram based question. You have to carefully observe the diagram and then answer to this question. They are asking you the correct figure that represents the attraction between the poles of two magnets. Okay, so now let me draw the figure of R. Okay, so here actually option number C is the correct answer, and let me give a justification why this figure is correct, why this R is correct. Okay, so here is a bar magnet actually, and they have given the magnetic field lines. Okay, and the field lines direction they have shown it in a prominent way, isn't it? And if you look at this particular field lines, looking to this, the field lines are like concentric circles, and see, we all know the properties of magnetic field lines, right? So this emerge from north and merge into a south pole, isn't it? So they come from north and they go into a south pole, isn't it? So now they emerge from north, isn't it? See here, the field line's direction is towards this side, that means emerging, this must be a north pole and this must be a south pole, isn't it? So now the other figure is something like this. So in the other figure, the field lines, they have shown it in this direction, isn't it? See here, the field lines are shown as though they are coming from this direction. So the side from which field lines are coming is always a north pole, isn't it? So definitely this is a south pole because the direction is like merging, going towards this side, that is south pole, and here the direction is like going away from this north pole, right? So going away, that means north pole. So there is always an attraction between the opposite poles, isn't it? So definitely the figure R seems to be a correct figure. Okay, so you have to carefully observe the direction, whether they are coming out or going into. If the direction is like they are coming out from that particular side, then that particular side is north pole, coming out. Going into means south pole. Okay, so in every set of option you have to compare this in a figure and then answer to the question. Okay, so here figure R seems to be correct. Okay, so the opposite poles are near to each other, so opposite poles always attract each other, right? So that is all about this question number 2. Now let us go for the 1 mark question. So question number 3 is very simple question. Mention any 2 natural phenomena that occur due to the effect of refraction of light. So we have seen the applications of refraction, isn't it, in the chapter? See, you can mention rainbow formation, right? So the rainbow formation is one of the application, and twinkling of stars you can mention, isn't it? Anything, twinkling of planets, twinkling of stars. So all this you can mention. Okay. Next, 4th question. Danger signal lights are in red color. Why? Right? So this is also very easy question. So traffic signals, the danger symbol is always in a red color. Stop sign is always red. And whenever danger signs have to be introduced, it should be done in a red color. Is because the red is more visible, because the red color has a large wavelength. Okay, so high wavelength it has. Because it has got a large wavelength, it really travels to a large distances. Okay, this point is very important. Travels to larger distances. Okay, so that is the reason danger symbol is always framed in a red color, because it has to be visible to a larger distances. Okay, fine. And 5th question is, what is solar cell? Solar cell is that cell which actually converts solar energy into electrical energy, isn't it? So light energy, it will get converted to electricity or electrical energy. Okay, fine, that can be a definition for solar cell. And coming to 2 marker questions here, draw the schematic diagram of biogas plant. Okay, so it is also a direct and expected question for Karnataka board exam. So you have to neatly draw a labeled diagram of biogas plant, which is there in the chapter called sources of energy. Now, coming to a 7th question. So here I would like to discuss the 7th question. They are asking you, observe the given diagram. What conclusions can be drawn from the experiment related to this diagram? So they have given a diagram, and definitely it is a Faraday's experiment, isn't it? So here is a coil, it is connected to a galvanometer, and here you have a magnet of showing north and south pole, right? So you have to explain this experiment point wise. Okay, and it is a 2 mark question. So neatly you can explain this diagram. So the very first point that you can mention is this particular diagram depicts, I mean it will depicts electromagnetic induction. So this is the experiment that will actually explain electromagnetic induction. Okay, so you can also write the definition of electromagnetic induction in the next point. So what is electromagnetic induction? Changing magnetic field, okay, changing magnetic field induces current in a conductor, right? So this is a simple form of defining electromagnetic induction. So third point you can write, okay, so whenever magnet moves or coil moves to and fro, what will happen? You will observe deflection. So that is deflection is observed. Okay, so those who want to write the answers properly, please write it in a piece of paper, because this can be helpful for your final examination. Presentation of answer is very, very important. Okay, so deflection is observed in galvanometer. G means galvanometer here, MF in the sense magnetic field. Okay, so now coming to the last point, what do you mention? When there is no movement, okay, so when there is no movement of coil or magnet, no deflection is observed. Okay, so this is how this experiment can prove that changing magnetic field always induces current in a conductor. Okay, so majorly if you can write these 4 points, then you can get full mark. Okay, so very, very important. So that is all about question number 7. So now coming to question number 8. The question number 8, which is also easy kind of question only. An optician has prescribed a corrective lens of power. So power of the lens is given, that is +3 diopters, to a person. What eye defect that person has, what is the type of this lens, and what is the focal length of same lens. Okay, so there are 3 questions, right? What type of lens is this? So identify that. See here, positive, right? If the focal length is positive, then only you will get your answer as positive for power. So focal length is positive is always for convex lens. Okay, so for both convex lens and convex mirror, focal length is positive. Okay, so I think in my classes I have shared a beautiful tip here. So always remember, F and V are negative for concave lens and concave mirror. Okay, so this is the trick I have shared to my online course students. So I am sharing you all now. Okay, see here, E for negative, right? So if you write the word negative, the word starts with E. Of course, you neglect N here, right? So E for negative, E for concave. Concave word will end with E, negative will start with E. Okay, so that way you remember, it is easier to remember for the exam. E for negative, E for concave. Okay, so F and V are negative for both concave lens and concave mirror. Their concept is oppositely different. Okay, totally different. But coming to a sign, both of them have the same sign to be followed for focal length as well as V, that is image distance. Okay, fine. And F and V are always positive for convex convex lens and convex mirror, guys. So this is what that trick I usually share with the students. So you can also take the help of this trick if you want. And here, see, the moment I have seen a plus sign here, I remember this trick. See, positive sign means it is always for convex. So convex lens, and convex lens is used as a corrective lens for which disease? Hypermetropia, right? So it is used for hypermetropia, right? And one more thing, they are also asking you to calculate focal length. So what is the formula? P is equal to 1 by F, or F is equal to 1 by P. So 1 by 3 if I put, I will get around 0.3 meters. Okay, so if I have to calculate F in meters, then it is a 0.3 meters. Suppose if I want to calculate in centimeter, what would I do? Here in the place of 1, I would put 100. 100 divided by 3, which is equal to 33.3 centimeter. Okay, so if you want to calculate in centimeter, the formula is F is equal to 100 by P you do. Okay, if you want to calculate in meters, then it is just 1 by P. Okay, so this is what you have to be careful, right? Fine. Now question number 9, what is an electric motor? So here question number 9 is a 3-marker question. So from 9 onwards 3-marker questions are starting. So what is an electric motor? So what you can write, electric motor is the instrument that will convert electrical energy. I am writing in a short form. E means electrical here. Electrical energy gets converted into mechanical energy. Okay, so such an instrument is called as, electric motor. Fine. State the rule that helps to detect the direction of mechanical force on a conductor in the electric motor. That is, which is the rule with which you can find out the direction of force if you know magnetic field and current direction. That rule is Fleming's left hand thumb rule, right? So what is the rule they are asking? Just mention Fleming's left hand thumb rule, left hand. Okay, very important. Next, what is the role of split rings in the motor? Split rings will act as commutators, isn't it? So what do you mean by commutator? Commutator is nothing but the one which changes the direction of current. So ultimately, what is the use of split rings? They help in changing the direction of current here. The direction of current, that is, they will act as commutators here. Okay, so that's it. So for 3 mark, 3 answers. So very simple, right? So they have not even asked you to define Fleming's left hand rule. They just ask you to mention which rule will help us to decide the direction of force, right? So that is Fleming's left hand thumb rule. Over. Now there is a OR question. So let us discuss this OR question also so that it can be helpful to revise for your final board examination, right? In OR question, if you go for question number A, state right hand thumb rule, right? So right hand thumb rule, if you stretch your right hand, the thumb finger, forefinger and middle finger perpendicular to each other, what does the thumb finger indicate, what does the middle finger indicate, and what does the forefinger indicates. So let us call this as a forefinger, this as a middle finger, okay, and this as a thumb finger. Okay, so forefinger always indicates the direction of magnetic field, and thumb finger will indicate the direction of motion of a conductor, right? Then the middle finger will tell you the direction of induced current, isn't it? Induced current. Okay, so you have to carefully write in the form of sentences. How do you write in the form of sentences? Stretch the right hand, the 3 fingers, thumb, forefinger, middle finger perpendicular to each other. The thumb finger indicates the direction of motion. The forefinger indicates the direction of magnetic field. Then the middle finger will help us to know the direction of induced current. Okay, so that is the definition. And the B question, pretty simple question. They are asking, mention any two properties of magnetic field lines. Any two properties you can write. Field lines will emerge from north pole and they'll merge in south pole. All field lines are stronger at poles, or field lines always move in a circular loops. They'll never intersect. Any points you can write, any two. And the third question, what are the two methods of increasing magnetic field in a solenoid? So in a solenoid, how do you increase the strength of magnetic field? How do you increase? By increasing number of turns, isn't it? Say solenoid is this, the more turns, the more coiled it is, the more magnetic field lines you will observe. Okay, so this is the first point. Second point is by increasing the strength of current, right? By increasing current, strength of the current. So these are the 2 points you can mention. And if you use electromagnet, then much more magnetic field strength that you can observe. Okay, all that. But anyway, 2 simple points. These 2 if you can mention, your work could be over. Right? So that is all about the 9th question. And coming to the 10th question, it is a ray diagram. Right? So what is and you all know that for SSLC board, ray diagram can be compulsorily be asked for 3 marks. So you have to practice all the ray diagrams of mirrors as well as lenses. So here the ray diagram is about concave mirror. Okay. Concave mirror, when the object is placed between C and F, mention the position and nature of image formed with the help of ray diagram. Okay, so concave mirror. So this is our concave mirror and this is our P, right? Let me draw a line passing through P. Let me take this as F and this as C. And where is the object placed? Between C and F. So here is the object placed. And you draw a line parallel to the principal axis, incident ray, then it will pass through focus. Okay, and you will also draw a line passing through focus, then it would be parallel to the principal axis. So here the reflected rays are meeting. That means here is the image formation. So where is the image formation? Image is formed beyond C. What is the type of image? Okay, type of image is real and inverted, isn't it? And real, inverted, enlarged image. You will get enlarged image. Quite an enlarged image you will get, right? So that is all about the ray diagram. Now coming to question number 11, and question number 11 is a very simple problem from electricity, I can say. They have given circuit diagram, and what they are asking you is to calculate total resistance of the circuit. Okay, first let me draw the circuit diagram. So there are 3 resistors here, resistor R1, resistor R2 and resistor R3. Okay, and so this is connected to a battery. Okay, so this is just a battery. Next, here is a switch, and observe here ammeter which shows a reading of 3 amperes. Okay, and here every resistor is connected with voltmeter of voltage 6 volt, here 3 volt, R2 has got a voltage 6 volt, and here you have a 9 volt. Okay, so what are they asking you is, they are asking you to calculate the total resistance. That is the question. total resistance is what they are asking you to calculate. Okay, so to calculate the total resistance, first you see which formula you will use. Since R1, R2, R3 all are connected in series, you will use the total resistance which is connected in series, that is Rs is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3, isn't it? But we don't have R1, we don't have R2 value, we don't have R3 value also. So first we need to find R1, R2, R3 and then substitute in this main formula. Right. So now how do you find out R1? So we know Ohm's law formula, V is equal to IR, isn't it? So here R is equal to V by I. So here how do you find out R1? R1 is equal to V1 divided by I1. So what is the voltage here? 3 volt, right? And what is I1? And current you see 3 ampere. And we all know whenever when the resistors are connected in series, same current flows through all the resistors. That means 3 amperes flows here, here, here also. So I is constant here, right? So 3 by 3, that is 1 ampere. So R1 value is 1. Likewise you calculate R2. What is R2? V2 by I2, isn't it? So what is V2 here? What is the voltage? 6 divided by I, 3, that is 2 ohms here. And what is R3? R3 is equal to I3 by, V3 by I3, isn't it? So that is V is 9 divided by 3, that is 3 ohms. So here 3 ohms. So now we got to know R1, R2, R3. Now substitute in this formula. So what is R1? 1 ohm plus 2 ohm plus 3 ohm together is 6 ohms, isn't it? So our resistance is 6 ohms. Okay, so total resistance is 6 ohms here. So that's it. So that is all about this problem. Okay, so now coming to the next main 12th question. So here from 12th question onwards, they are 4 marker questions, isn't it? So now let us see this 12th question. So this is also very simple, guys. They have given an information, right? So nothing, they gave a table. So here is a table. So they have given I values and they had given voltage values. Okay, so I values are 0.5, 1.0, 1.5 and 2.0, and corresponding voltages is like 1.5, 3.0, 4.5 and 6.0. So what they are asking is which law, they say that one side voltage values, one side current values are there, okay, and which particular law does it depict? I mean, you have to calculate the resistance here. Voltage is given, I values are given. So which law does it depict? Definitely it depicts Ohm's law. Okay, so what is Ohm's law? Where current is directly proportional to voltage, keeping temperature constant. Okay, and now what is the resistance of a nichrome wire? So these are the current and voltage values of nichrome wire. Okay, they are also asking you to calculate the resistance. Okay, so what is our formula? V is equal to IR, R is equal to V by I, isn't it? So now take any of the values. It's not necessary that you have to consider this value. So what is I value? 1.5 in the denominator. What is the corresponding I value is 0.5. Okay, so what is the corresponding voltage? 1.5. So these two values you can take and calculate, these two you can take and calculate, these two. So whatever the set of values you calculate, you get the same answer for resistance, because the resistance is constant, okay, at a particular temperature for a particular wire, okay, as long as you do not change the length and area, right? So now what is, see, 5 ones are 5 3s are, that means the resistance is 3 ohms. So you take any two values. If you take these two, you get the same answer. If you get these two, then also same answer. If you get these two, then also the 3 ohms you will get as your answer, isn't it? So that is all about this 12th question. Yes, and there is one more question here, B question. So this is our A question, and now I am discussing the B question. Simple. In domestic electric circuits, in domestic electric circuit, electrical appliances are not connected in series. Why? Okay, so it is like you have studied in the chapter advantages of advantages of parallel connection over series connection. So that should be the answer. Why electrical gadgets are not connected in series in our domestic circuits? So this is not the way of connecting the gadgets, isn't it? Always parallel connection is better. So they are asking you the reasons. Because in the series connection, same current flows. As a result of that, if one instrument fails, okay, circuit breaks. Okay, right? And second point is different instrument with different power rating, appliances with different power rating, okay, need different current. So series is not suitable for connecting appliances in the domestic circuit, because if you take up a light, it will take less, it's an instrument with less power rating, right? At the same time, if you take a refrigerator, then that needs a very high current, right? So different appliances need different current. So all of them, if you connect in a series form, what would happen? The instruments would fail, isn't it? That is the reason this is not a correct way of connecting. Okay, parallel is the suitable way of connecting. Fine, that's it. And here we have a OR question. So let us discuss the OR question also, right? OR question is also very simple, and many times I always discuss this type of questions. Usually, resistivity values they will give, and they'll ask you which is the good conductor, which is an insulator. This form of questions are very, very common. You have to be very careful. Okay, so similar question is asked here. They have given an information. So the type of material they gave, the type of substance they gave, and their resistivity values are given. So silver has got a resistivity value 1.60 into 10 power minus 8 ohm meter. Aluminium has got a resistivity value 2.63 into 10 power minus 8 ohm meter. Nichrome wire. Okay, so nichrome has got a resistivity of 100 into 10 power minus 6 ohm meter. Whereas ebonite has got a resistivity 10 power 15 into 10 power 17, it seems. So here the question that they asked is, which of these substances is good conductor and which is insulator? Why they are asking? Okay, so which substance is good conductor? So we all know resistivity, if it is high, then it is a bad conductor. Okay, bad conductor, or we can consider it as a insulator. High resistivity, it is always a insulator. If resistivity value is less, then it is considered as good conductor. Lesser the resistivity value, more conducting power the substance has, right? So now check it out among the values, which is the largest value and which is the smallest value. That's it. So which is the largest value? Look at here, 10 power 15 and 10 power 17 is a very, very large value. So higher the resistivity, the substance is insulator. So now this ebonite is insulator. So now check out the smallest value. Look at here, 10 power minus 8 is small as compared to 10 power minus 6, isn't it? This is a smaller number. So now again 10 power, two numbers are there with 10 power minus 8. Now check it here, which is the smallest value? Definitely the smallest value is this, right? So this is the smallest value. So lesser the resistivity, good conductor it is, right? So now this silver is a good conductor, whereas this ebonite is a insulator, because the value is very high, here the value is very less, so it is a better conductor. So now this is all about the first question. So now let us discuss the second question. Very simple. Which substance is used in electrical heating devices and why? Okay, so we all know electrical heating devices are made up of alloys. Okay, very important. Alloys that should have pretty high melting points. Okay, and alloys will have appreciable resistance. I mean, not too much high resistance, not very much less resistance. So they have a appreciable resistivity, you can say, or resistance, you can say. Okay, so that is the reason alloys are used in the heating devices. They do not oxidize. That is also important. One more point I'll write. Alloys do not oxidize. Alloys do not oxidize. Okay, so here every reason is connected to every other reason here, right? So why do alloys used in heating devices? Because they have appreciable resistivity, quite a high melting point, and do not get oxidized. Okay, and among these, which is that which has got quite an appreciable resistivity, not too much high, not too much less, and definitely which is an alloy here? Nichrome, right? So this nichrome is an alloy here, right? So definitely it can be used in the heating devices. Okay, so answer is completely concept based. Until and unless you understand the concept, you can't write answers for these type of questions. Okay, so that's why I say do not mug up the science concepts. These are the concepts that have to be understood properly to answer easily. Okay, so that is all about our question number A. So now question number B, 12th question only. In our B question we are going to discuss. So that was all about A question, and now B question. See, this is also very simple. Okay, when current flows through a circuit having tungsten wire of particular length, then ammeter reading is 5 ampere. Okay, so you have a ammeter reading, that means current is 5 ampere for a tungsten wire. For a tungsten wire with a length L and area A. Okay, fine. What change does occur in the ammeter reading? Suppose if this is I1, then what change would occur in ammeter reading, that is I2, when the thickness of the wire of the same length is doubled? Okay, thickness A is doubled. Okay, so here A is A. Okay, but here A has become 2A. Okay, A is 1A. In the second case, same tungsten, same length. Okay, this much current is flowing, but A I have changed, area I have doubled. So what would happen to a current, and why they are asking? What will happen to a current? Find out what is the relationship between A and I. This relationship you find out first. We all know R is equal to rho into L by A. Okay, so that means from this formula we can say R is inversely proportional to A. And we all know R is inversely proportional to I, right? Inversely proportional means what? If this increases, this decreases, or if this decreases, this increases. That is what inversely proportional. R is inversely proportional to A. Okay, R is inversely proportional to I. Okay, so now how does A and I related? Okay, here I is directly proportional to A. That means more the area, more is the thickness, more and more current can be passed. Okay, got to know? See, more the thickness, less resistance. Less resistance means high current, isn't it? That means more the thickness, current is more. So when you here, when area is doubled, current also will become double, isn't it? When area is doubled, current also will become double because I is directly proportional to A, right? Double means what? 10. Okay, so which is the number? If you double 5, then what is the current? Here the current is 10 amperes. So how do you write the answer? Current also doubles. So let me write the answer for you all to present in your examination. Okay, so let me write the answer here. Current doubles. Okay, I also doubles. I also doubles. That means the new I2, the new current is 10 amperes. Okay, so when area is doubled, when A is doubled, current doubles, that is it becomes 10 ampere because okay, I is directly proportional to A. As A increases, as area increases, I also increases. So when you make area double, current also doubles. What is the number? Double to 5? 10. You don't need to calculate. You can just write it. I is equal to 10 ampere. This is the logic. Okay. So simple. That is all about question number 12. So now let us discuss question number 13, which is again from a light chapter. Again a conceptual question, but very simple and interesting question. Usually I keep discussing this type of questions also too much. Okay, so let us do it. So 13th question, A. The refractive index of material medium A and B are. So there are two materials A and B. A has got a refractive index 1.50. B has got a refractive index 1.44 respectively. And they are asking, question number 1 is, which medium is optically denser? Okay, so that means which medium is thicker. So we all know, okay, our speed of light is inversely proportional to refractive index. Okay, so refractive index greater, speed of light is lesser. That means the medium is thick. Okay, in thicker medium, that is in denser medium, speed of light is less, isn't it? So now higher the value, speed of light is lesser. So which is the highest value? Which is the highest value? Definitely 1.50. That is medium A is denser. Medium A is denser because the speed of light is lesser. Speed of light is less due to high refractive index. Due to high refractive index. Okay. So now coming to the second question. Which substance, second question, in which medium speed of light is more? Speed of light is more in the medium where refractive index is lesser. So in B speed is more, speed of light is more. Okay, why? Due to less refractive index value. Okay, so that's all about question number A. Now let us go for question number B. This is also very easy conceptual question. You have to be careful. Okay, so here the question number B. The magnification of the image of an object obtained from a lens is. Magnification value they have given. This magnification value will tell everything. Sign will indicate something. Digit will indicate something, isn't it? What type of lens to be used to get this image? Mention the position, nature and size of this image. So look at here. If magnification is negative, okay, so negative means what? Real and inverted image. Real and inverted image. So always positive means what? Always straight. Positive indicates straight path. Straight means what? Erect. Okay, erect images are always virtual. That way you remember, guys. Okay, positive is for positive sign, straight. Have a positive path means what? Have a straight path in life. Okay, that means erect and virtual. So negative means opposite, ulta, right? That means inverted. Inverted images are always real. So whenever m value is negative, then what is the nature of the image? Real and inverted. And here look at the digit now. M value is 1. Digit indicates what? M value 1 means what? Size of object is same as size of image. Size of image. Okay, it is not enlarged, it is not diminished. Since it is 1, size of object and size of image is same. Okay, got to know? And mention the position, nature and size. Position they are asking. When do you get size of object same as size of image? Okay, what type of lens is this? Yes, real inverted images you will always get in convex lens. Yes, convex lens. So you can draw a ray diagram here if you want to show the position of image. So this is optic center and this is f1, this is 2f1. This is f2, this is 2f2. So if you keep your object at 2f1, so a ray passing through f2, refracted ray, and if you pass another ray through optic center, then here you will get. That means where do you get your image? Image position is at 2f1. So where do you get an image? Image is formed, okay, at 2f2. Okay, so you kept an object at f1. If you keep an object at 2f1, then image would be formed at 2f2 and the size of the object, size of the image will remain same. Okay, so this is the ray diagram. If you can draw, the answer looks more impressive. Okay, so that is all about the physics paper. Okay, so video is getting too much lengthy, so I will cut short the video here. The next part, that is chemistry part, I will upload in the next part. Okay, so share me your opinion whether this physics part was easier, mediocre or tougher. You can share your opinion with me. Okay, and tell me how did you write this paper. Okay, right, that is also I want. And you can also share like where you made mistake and why you made mistake. That also you can share it in the comment section. Okay, so that is all about this video. So we will continue the chemistry part in the next video. Both chemistry and biology, we will do it in the next part. Okay, thank you so much. See you all. Keep learning. You know, the entire science content, maths content is available in the homeschool channel. Please do visit the playlist. You know, if you can make use of the content properly, you have a chances of getting 100 on 100 also. Okay, so share the videos with your friends also, because sharing gives lot of knowledge always. So thank you so much. Keep learning and bye.